Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about something that has the power to change everything about how you see yourself and your place in the world. And that's unlocking your superpowers as kind of the first step towards becoming a giver. Now, this of course is not just another personal development concept in any way, but a foundational first step towards becoming a true giver and making an impact that you are meant to make. And so if you've ever felt stuck, I don't know if you're stuck in your career or you feel disconnected from everything, like your purpose, or like you're just going through motions day after day, and you're not alone. So many fathers, husbands, parents, mothers, wives, go through these similar types of things. They feel the same way. They wake up feeling lost or unfulfilled or unsure of what they're truly meant to do in the world. And so let me ask you some questions to set some context and kind of frame things up for you. Like, have you had that nagging feeling that you were kind of made for more than what you're currently doing? Or do you sometimes wonder what maybe unique contribution you're going to be able to offer the world? Or have you tried to figure out your purpose but feel overwhelmed by where to even begin? Or do you see others living with passion and purpose and wonder, how it is that how they found their path? Or maybe any combination of those as it applies towards living your life, as it applies to raising children, having the career that you want, and really feeling fulfilled in everything it is that you're doing. Now, if that sounds familiar at all to you, then you are not alone. Because if those questions, if they did resonate, then you're going to be in the right place for what we want to cover. Many people, they feel lost, disconnected from their purpose, and unsure how to tap into their potential, how they can translate that into their career, how they could translate that into their business, into their family, into their children. How could they do that? But here's the truth to understand is that you already have everything you need inside of you to create an impact. You just haven't unlocked it yet. Now, my name is Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book. It's called The Giver Method. It's an Amazon bestseller. I'll put a link in the description where you can go get access to it. Go invest the $10. It'd be the best $10 you could invest in yourself, in your family, in your career, I promise you. At the same time, if maybe you're not ready to invest the $10 in the book, I'll put a free resource down there for you called The Giver's Roadmap that you can download and get access to as well. I've spent years at this point. My goal has been helping people through the process of discovering their gifts and superpowers and how to create more meaningful impact. So I've seen firsthand how it is a transformative journey that you can be on. Not just with your own life, but in the lives of countless others who have applied these principles. So today, what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you're sitting down here in my office with me in a one-on-one coaching session, and I'm going to walk you through these 8 strategies that help you to uncover your gifts and superpowers, even if you feel completely lost or uncertain about what makes you special. Now, these are the exact strategies I share with private clients and that are in the Giver Method book to help you break free from feeling stuck and to step into life where you're truly meant to live. Now, real quick, before we dive in, if you are new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. I don't want you to miss out on any of the future content we have on unlocking your potential, creating more meaningful impact in your life or the lives of others, living more fulfilled and happiness within your home, your family, your work, and everything that you're doing. At the same time, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, all those places, or at thegivermethod.com. Now, all right, let's get started on the journey. I want to take you down this journey of discovering your superpowers that's going to transform your life and the lives of everyone around you and everyone that you can make an impact on. And so the first one that I want to focus on is recognizing everybody has these unique gifts and superpowers. Like, this is a fundamental principle, recognizing that everyone, even including you, have a unique superpower within inside of you. Now, this isn't motivational fluff. I'm not trying to be that in any way. Like, this is a profound truth that you can change how you see yourself and your potential. Many people struggle to identify their gifts because they, have been conditioned to believe that superpowers are these extraordinary talents that only few people, select people possess. When the reality is that your superpowers are often hiding in plain sight. They are the things that just come so naturally to you that you might not even recognize them as special. So think about it. Like, we all know someone who can walk into a room and instantly make you feel comfortable, or someone who can make that complex information and explain it in a way that you can understand. Like, these abilities aren't just these personality traits, they're genuine superpowers that are inside of them that create real value in the world. And just like them, you have gifts just like this that are uniquely yours. They're unique abilities that have your unique perspectives of life and strengths that no one else can offer in the same way. And that is so extremely special. The challenge isn't whether you have these gifts, it's learning to recognize them and appreciate them and develop them in the right way. So you start by identifying your gifts. What I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to, what do people consistently praise you for? What are the compliments? And start keeping maybe a journal where you record specific comments others have made about your abilities or contributions, and reflect on activities that are going to energize you rather than drain you, that you could just spend hours doing. Like that puts you into a flow state where it's often connected to those sort of gifts. And then another effective strategy is go ask some people. Like, it's shocked that people are willing to give you this information if you say, hey, what do you see as my unique strengths or talents? Often others see your gifts more clearly than you can. So take time to conduct, that superpower scan that you have. Like, set aside 30 minutes with a notebook and just reflect on questions. Here are 3 questions that you could easily start to piece these things together with. Like, what tasks or activities do you excel at with just minimal effort? What do people consistently ask you for help on? Or what contributions have you made that just seem to create the most positive impact? And write down your answers and do it without any judgment or qualification. Just put it down. You're not boasting. It's about, honest self-assessment and reflection. And then reach out to 3 friends, family members, colleagues, and ask them directly, like, what do you see as my unique gifts or strengths? And then compare them to the responses of your own reflections. Without recognizing that you have these unique gifts, you're going to continue searching for your purpose in all the wrong places. Most people look for purpose as something as this external discovery rather than something internal to uncover and just develop. And when you acknowledge that you already possess these valuable gifts, the focus that you're going to have is going to shift from finding purpose to developing and sharing what you already have. So instead of trying to fix any sort of perceived weakness that you may have, or to become something you're not meant to fit into some sort of a mold. You focus on cultivating and expressing who you authentically are and your authentic strengths. This is not only the most effective way of doing it, but it's going to be way more fulfilling. The most successful, impactful people aren't those who force themselves to excel at everything. They're the ones who identified what they're really good at and built their lives around developing and sharing those gifts with the world. Your unique contributions and strengths is not just an accident. It's the very blueprint for your contribution into the world. Now, the second thing I want you to pay attention to is to look for the clues in your childhood, because your childhood experiences and early interests, they contain authentic clues about your natural gifts and superpowers, because long before any sort of societal expectation got in your way, because they always do, or your career pressures or adult responsibilities. I mean, if you're a parent, if you're a spouse, if you're a partner of any way, if you work full time, those responsibilities. Before all of it, you were just naturally drawn to activities and subjects that resonated with you and your innate abilities. So think about what captivated you as a child, and what did you lose time in? What were those subjects? Because those early passions, they're not random. They're really expressions of your authentic self. So many of us dismiss those interests as irrelevant in our adult lives. You often are going to reveal the deeply rooted strengths and the natural inclinations that are within you. So think about it as you think about the way you organized your games, the way that you drew, the activities, the game, all the things you did. Your early life experiences shaped what came naturally to you, and by reconnecting with those original interests, you're going to reveal those gifts that have been buried under years of conforming and to external expectations. And you tap into these, you could create, childhood passion times, find the activities, what were the ones you did between the age of 5 and we'll just say 15. And before you began seriously, diving into career and adult responsibilities, what did you play? What were your subjects that excited you? What did you daydream about? And look for the patterns of, were they social or were they solitary, creative or analytical, physical, intellectual? And then, take the time to reflect on what they may be. You can also, have a conversation with someone who maybe knew you as a child, maybe a parent or sibling or a close childhood friend, and asking them those same sort of questions, because their perspectives may offer valuable insights that you might have forgotten about over time. And then just take action this week. Spend, at least 1 hour sometime this week, engage in an activity you loved as a child. Simply enjoying it and notice how it feels. I build Lego. I have tons of Lego set here in my office. I currently am building a massive Lego set, and it is almost therapeutic to me. It helps me clear my mind and get into a flow state. This is so important because your childhood passions represent interests and pursuits that you had before you were influenced by the practical concerns like, your earning potential or status. And you choose careers and life paths as adults. We often prioritize that security or approval over authentic interests, which just gradually disconnects you more and more from your genuine gifts. And so by reconnecting with those passions, you're going to discover those aspects about your life and that can still represent who you are and your most natural strengths and the potential contributions that you could be giving. Like, these patterns of behavior and thinking are often the foundations of your adult superpowers. So they're not just what you did, but like how your unique mind works. And so recognize and reclaim these inherent ways of being and start realigning your adult life with authentic gifts by creating greater fulfillment and impact in every single thing that you're doing. Now, our third one is going to be about identifying the moments of flow and effortless excellence. Now, I already mentioned, I referenced these in these last two, is that we're looking for that flow state where time seems to disappear and you're completely absorbed in what you're doing, direct paths to like discovering what your any sort of a flow or flow state, you operate your highest potential, like almost effortlessly. Like, these moments of effortless excellence are just like, they aren't just enjoyable moments, but they're the signpost pointing you towards some unique gifts. Like, what makes the flow state so revealing is that it combines your skill and natural inclination. Whether you're in a flow, you're like, when you're in a flow, like, you're not just doing something you're good at, but you're expressing something that fundamentally aligned with your mind and heart naturally at work. And so pay attention to the tasks you're performing where that happens, or the activities that you could be doing. Like, these disparities like between effort and outcome often are indicators for superpowers at work, whether it's facilitating meetings or solving technical problems or connecting with challenging person. Like, these moments are seemingly effortless with excellence. That's a window into your strengths. So identify what are the flow states, journal about it for maybe a couple weeks, and each day note where you lost track of time or felt more energized or maybe drained afterwards. Maybe look for feedback on the performance you had or you exceeded expectations, and be very specific about exactly what you were doing. After 2 weeks, look for the patterns that were there. Like, these patterns are going to reveal your core superpowers. And then create opportunities where you can test and verify these superpowers. You're going to notice that explaining, a topic that's really complex, like, puts you in a flow, or volunteering in a certain way puts you in a flow. Like, great. Just pay attention not just to how well you perform in these moments, but how it made you feel. Because true superpowers are going to energize you even when the work is challenging. All right, now our fourth one is that you need to analyze past successes and challenges. Your history of your successes and challenges, they contain valuable data into your unique gifts and superpowers. When you take the time to really reflect on that and examine them, what you've overcame, what you've achieved, like, patterns are going to start to reveal your natural strengths and abilities. Like, think about the times in life where you just faced some significant obstacles, but somehow you found a way through it. The methods that you just instinctively use to navigate those difficulties could reflect on some, problem-solving style or core strengths. Maybe also think about, like, what were those proudest moments, those achievements where you felt, the most meaningful. Typically, that's going to showcase some sort of a gift or superpower in action. What is particularly revealing is when you examine not just what you achieved, but how you achieved it. Did you succeed through careful planning? Was it through intuitive leaps of creative solutions? Was it through connecting with others and building relationships? Like, these approaches consistently lead you to your best outcomes. Like, they're going to be often expressions of your superpowers, even if you didn't recognize them at that moment. So pay attention to successes that surprised you, achievements that just seemed to come more easily to you. Like, when you look at the disparities between expected effort and actual result, often point towards the gifts that you could have within you. And then implement, maybe once again, in a journal or a blank sheet of paper, like, take that out, like, get that, and then create a timeline of your life and marking significant achievements, challenges you've overcome, and look for those milestones. Look for the recurring themes across those situations. Follow it with, like, maybe a challenge response analysis where you identify maybe 3 or 4 challenges that you faced in your life, and then write down exactly how you respond to each one. Like, what resources, internal or external, did you draw upon? What strategies felt most natural to you? What did others notice about how you handled the situation? And then compare all those approaches. Like, it could also be really useful to go to someone else who maybe was there and witnessed it and get their outside perspective. Like, and this is so essential because your past contains these, this evidence to your superpowers in action. And unlike any sort of a personality test or hypothetical scenarios that we could pose, your actual history shows you exactly how your mind and heart function when you were faced with those real challenges and opportunities. Many people are going to discount their natural gifts precisely because came too easily for them. And so don't do that. Don't let yourself, brush it aside or be judgmental against yourself on it. Like, historical perspective is going to transform vague hopes about your potentials into concrete knowledge and proven abilities, proving this is a solid foundation for building a life of purpose and impact. Now, our fifth one is listening to the feedback from others. Oh my gosh, we've already talked about going and getting other people's perspectives and their perceptions and observations. They're often going to contain the most invaluable insights to your gifts and superpowers. But gosh, how many of us don't listen? We have these blind spots when it comes to recognizing our strengths and abilities that just come naturally when we assume everyone else possesses them. And so this external feedback, like, it's so important because those compliments or gratitude or observations others will share about your contributions, they're not just niceties. There's the data points highlighting those things. And we too often don't listen to them. We brush off gratitudes when people are saying thank you to us for something, complimenting us on things. We brush those off. Their firsthand experiences are of your impact. It's going to be that perspective of gifts and self-reflection. It's going to be this gift that self-reflection cannot provide you. You could do all sorts of surveys where you look at like what you do best, but going to others, going to 5 to 10 people and friends, family, mentors, colleagues, and saying like, what's my greatest strength? Like, what do you think, what do you think is I'm best at? Where have you seen me at my best? If someone needed something, you're like, oh my gosh, go talk to Jake. Who would that, like, what would the reason be? Because what their answer is going to reveal those themes of your natural gifts. And once again, just accept it. Go write it down in a journal and review it every so often so that you can look for those common strengths that are there. This is important because that external feedback, it's the objective confirmation of your gifts and superpowers. When you are trying to identify them, your own perception will get distorted by modesty or self-criticism or simply the inability to recognize special things that come naturally to you. So take the time and accept it and use it as a reflection point moving forward. Now, our sixth one, you have to explore this intersection. If I could draw like a Venn diagram for you of like your passion, your skills, and service. Your most powerful superpowers exist at that intersection of the things that you love or your passion, what you're good at, your skill, and what helps others, that service you can provide. This sort of a three-way overlap that you would have, like, it's going to help you find your most authentic and impactful gifts, because passion without skill remains a hobby. Skill without passion leads to burnout, and even without service, it feels meaningless. But all three of these elements align, you discover your superpower. They're not only satisfying, but they create that genuine value for others. The sweet spot is when your purpose and your fulfillment naturally emerge, and then you can find the way to intersect that with that service, providing that value to others. Because when you operate from this place, your motivation becomes both internal fulfillment and external contribution. My gosh, you're going to be driven with this inherent satisfaction of what you're doing and what you love and what you excel at, while all being fueled by the knowledge that your efforts are making a difference for others. Okay, so take the time and draw that out. Draw out the 3 circles and list the activities, abilities that fit each one, like your passion, what energizes you, your skill, what are you exceptionally well at, including natural or developed expertise. And then under service, like, note the ways you help others and create value. Look at those items and where they overlap, and those intersections reveal those the most powerful and truly the most sustainable gifts and superpowers that you're going to have. Like, it is by focusing on that sweet spot, you create this foundation for a life that is deeply fulfilling for you and genuinely valuable to others. Like, it's the essence of what it means to be a giver, like as I talked about being a giver in the GIVER method. Now, the 7th one, got to experiment and gather real world data. So as you start to discover and find like what these are, now we got to actually work on them. Like, it's like going to the gym a little bit. You got to give it a little bit of a work to see some result. And so discovering the superpower, like it's not just that theoretical exercise, like it's going to require these practical experimentations. Many people get stuck in endless reflection, hoping that it's going to perfectly align to everything. But truly, clarity will come once you experiment with it, and you give it a try. Like, the superpowers reveal themselves when you're actively engaged in diverse experiences, testing the different abilities and observing the results. Like, what makes these experiments so effective is that it bypasses you from overthinking or self-limiting beliefs. Instead, you're trying to figure out everything in advance, like you just gather the evidence and pivot along the way. This sort of like evidence-based approach is really valuable to those who struggle with self-doubt, or have the difficulty recognizing their own gifts, because when you see the tangible results applying your abilities in these situations quickly, you're going to develop a more accurate picture of what those strengths are, and some introspective that the introspective can't do alone. The key is to approach these experiments with curiosity and not judgment. See them as data points, not as like this definitive test that I can't do it or not. So create a list. What are the 3 to 5 potential strengths that you want to test? And go test them and reflect on them. Get feedback for each one. What's the small scale, low risk opportunity you could do with it? It could be teaching something. It could be some sort of helping someone problem solve something. Like, just remember that the goal isn't perfection, it's learning. And then think about after you give it a try, like think about how did it make you feel to use that gift? What impact did you have on others? What specific aspects just came naturally to you? Just think about those, like sample, each one of them outward, intentionally trying activities where you can utilize those strengths to resonate with you. It could be volunteer activities. It could be, in all sorts of ways. Just pay attention to the activities that are going to then, as you're doing it, continue to energize you and where you receive positive feedback. And then make a commitment to keep trying and keep working on it. Without testing abilities in actual situations, your understanding remains theoretical and often inaccurate. So the experimental approach grounds your discovery in reality, providing you with this concrete evidence where your unique strengths lie. When you frame your efforts in these experiments as experiments rather than tests, like you're more willing to try new things without the pressure of like the immediate success behind it. Each experiment becomes an opportunity to learn, not a chance to fail, creating momentum for this discovery process. And over time, it reveals your existing superpowers, but also helps you develop new ones and expand your capacity for meaningful contribution and having a more fulfilled life. And of course, our 8th one is you just have to develop, like anytime you are looking at developing gifts and superpowers, you have to have that growth mindset. Like it's not an all-in-one time event. Like it's an ongoing journey that requires that mindset. The reason why the book is called the GIVER method and not the like exact formula or the like solution, or is a method that you are going to adopt and continue to work on over your entire life, because your gifts and superpowers change. You could use them in new ways. You discover new ones. Many people, approach gift identification as if they're searching for that treasure, something that's just there and unchanged. But it's more like you're, like seeds that you're planting rather than diamonds that you're finding. And you just need to develop, cultivate, so they can reach their fullest potential. Growth mindset, it recognizes that your gifts can be strengthened and refined, expanded through intentional practice. You're not the best at everything. Shocker, it's crazy. You can continue to refine and get better at what you're doing, or find new contexts in which you can provide it to people. Like, what makes growth mindset so powerful is that it liberates you from the pressure of finding the one true calling or perfect gift, and instead encourages you to work on what you're discovering and developing those strengths, while remaining open to all of the new possibilities that could be around you. If you want to create this mindset, you start by reframing how you think about your gifts. Instead of asking, what's my superpower? Ask, like, what strengths am I currently developing and how can I take them to the next level? You could create a development plan where you look at the gifts you have, 2 or 3 of them, and set specific goals of how you want to strengthen these abilities over maybe the next 3 months. It could be a course, it could be books, it could be videos, it could be whatever, deliberate practice of with opportunities. Like, remember that development doesn't just mean technical improvement, it means learning to apply them in new contexts, combining them with new strengths. You just take those, each individual one, because the growth-oriented approach, essentially, like, it's so important because it prevents stagnation in your superpower journey. Many people, they identify those initial strengths, but then they fail to develop them, resulting in this unfulfilled potential, which you may or may not have felt before. This sort of ongoing development is what transforms ordinary gifts into true superpowers and creating extraordinary impact in your life and the life of everyone around you. So today, as we have explored, we've talked about these 8 principles that help you uncover unique gifts and superpowers. Like, they're just so important because they're going to be the first step in becoming a giver. And remember that this journey isn't about finding something that's external or living into some sort of a preconceived societal form. Like, it's about recognizing and developing what's already in you and being authentic to yourself. So start with the fundamental truth that everybody has gifts and superpowers. Look at how those childhood clues point to things and identify those flow states, and where's the sweet spot of passion and skill and service, and then experiment and gather data and continue to learn. These principles, they're going to offer you this different lens into which of your unique strengths that you have and that you could develop more to be that superpower. And together you create this comprehensive approach to discovering gifts and defining your purpose and impact. That's the path of becoming a giver, and it begins with this self-discovery, but it doesn't end there. Like, once you've learned the superpowers, the next step is you need to learn how to share them generously with others, create value, build meaningful relationships, make an impact where you're meant to make. If you're in a long-term relationship, married or with a partner, like, how do I use these to enhance our relationship? If you have children, how do I lift them up? How do I do more with them, with my siblings, my parents, my coworkers, mentors, anyone around you? Like, how do I build them up and make that greater impact? If you want to dive deeper into that journey, then that's where I'm going to tell you, go get a copy of the Giver Method book. Use the link in the description to get it off Amazon, or you can go and get yourself the free download of the Giver's Roadmap if you're not ready to make that initial investment into yourself. Now, as you do either of those things, the book or the Giver's Roadmap, like, they're going to guide you through the different steps that there are to discovering gifts and to create meaningful impact in your life and the lives of those around you. But, also, I'd love if you take the time, share which one of these things resonated with you the most by leaving a comment. Share maybe one insight or an action step that you want to take away from today's video, because sometimes what you share will inspire others as well. And remember, unlocking your superpower isn't just personal fulfillment. It's about discovering how your unique gifts can serve others and create that positive change in the world. That's what being a true giver is all about. So I just want to say thank you for joining me today and paying attention and sticking around here till the end. And until next time, please keep discovering, keep developing, keep sharing your gifts with the world. They need it. Everyone from the people you work with to the people in your home, they all need that gift more and more. And as you do that and create that and give that value to more people, the universe will always find a way to pay you back. I promise you that. And so we will catch you in our next video. Have a great rest of your day.